I use these tie down straps. I thought they were ratchet, but they're not. They're just locking. Anyway, I wrapped it around the clutch cover there and across the frame. Looks good up here. I can see that this exhaust stud is really close. I might have to take it out. And maybe that one over there. And I hooked it to this little bolt here. Now this wouldn't be any good at all to try to lift the motor or anything. It would probably break that case. But for just keeping the motor from falling or moving around, I think that'll be good enough. And I'll take this final bolt here. That should be the last one holding this thing into the frame. Maybe I can rock it around and see if I can unhook the U-joint there for the rear end. Alright, I got this so far. I'm just moving it with my hand here. But you can see it's pulling out of that. I've got something going on in there I can't exactly see. Probably a U-joint or something. Motor's clear and everything good. Here I can see why they want you to pull that shaft out. All it takes is dropping the motor on that one time and you got a bent shifter shaft and really have a lot of troubles. Looks like my muffler exhaust pipe and all this stuff is a little more loose now. Can't quite get it out all the way yet, but at least I got it down there where I can break that bolt off. Something fell. Oh, it looks like the frame just fell over anyway. Oh, this is really loose now. Tighten that up a little. So, motor's just sitting here. I don't know what the technique is to get it out of the frame. I would imagine you just pry it forward until that U-joint comes out. Everything's kind of holding it here. It's obviously loose. I don't know. So far so good. I can take this now and throw it up here with the rest of this crap that's got to be cleaned and painted. This is those tie downs I got up from Harbor Freight. I don't know what they were, $10 for 4 of them or something. But they're good for something like this. Anyway, move along and see what I can do about getting it disconnected from the drive shaft there. Probably go back and read my book a little more. Well, it doesn't say anything. It says with an assistant, lift it clear of the frame. Of course, watch your fingers and toes. So what I'm going to try to do, it says lift, so I've got a jack there. I'm contacting a couple places here. I'm going to try to jack it up with this little funky jack down here and see what kind of results I got. This jack I should have thrown away years ago, but it keeps working a little bit, so I keep using it. Well, let's see if this will see what happens to this motor when I do jack it up. Looks like it's coming up in the front. Yeah. Kind of wanting to come to my side. I probably don't have it centered. Tighten my little bands up again. There we go. So, looks like the front does come up. So I think I gotta kind of rotate this sort of clockwise a little to pull that transmission out of there. Anyway, it's a two-handed job. I'll figure out how to get the motor up free of that U-joint, and then I'll shoot a little more video. Yeah, I got something here under the front of the motor. I'm pulling it up, and I've got it worked loose pretty much of this rear motor mount right here. Probably went in further on the other side. I might try a little prying right here. This is not really what I want to pry on, but it does look like it's not exactly doing what I want it to, but looks like the motor's mostly free. My straps are still pretty tight. I'm going to jack it just a little more. Looks like that moved it about a ½ an inch. I'm going to go over to the other side and see if I can get that right hand rear manifold, motor mount loose. I got some little neutral sending wire or something here, and the rest of it looks like it'll just fall right out. Still haven't been able to get out my exhaust pipe. It's kind of jammed in there. Anyway, I've got plenty of room here. Still not into my V-boost or anything. I got a lot of room down in the bottom. So I'll just take my lovely pry bar here. This is a drill rod, by the way. It's expensive as hell. And see if I can work this back section loose. Yeah, you can see down in there. I don't know if you can tell, but it's still in the motor mount almost. So I'll try to pry this loose. Yeah, that was super easy. I just pushed on the motor and it just moved right out of the way. Where I'm contacting now is these header bolts hit the frame. So I'm definitely going to pull them out before I try to put the new motor in. But yeah, exhaust pipe come out too. Oh, cool. I can dig out my broken piece and clean that up. Still don't see any progress on the U-joint, but the motor is definitely loose. You can see everything moving around there. So I think it probably just has to be jacked up some more and fool around with it until I can get that U-joint out of there. I hope that I'm doing this right. It looks like it should just slide out. It's bolted together. That's a different story altogether, but it didn't say anything about it in the manual. I think worst comes to worst, I have to pull the rear end off and slide that shaft forward. And there's a big lock nut in there. And Looks like this plate here bolts to the motor. Maybe that whole thing comes out. I'm just hoping that that U-joint in there will just pull right out. Guess I'll find out here in a minute. Well, I was able to jack it up a couple inches. I got it up to where the manifold's hitting, or the cam cover's hitting that V-boost deal. And I snug my straps up. So now I'm going to try to pry this motor forward and see if I can get it loose from that U-joint. Now I'm going to try to prop up Mr. Camera here. I don't even know if you can see that. Might be pretty close. I got a little tripod, but it's not very good. So I try to hand hold this. Okay. Inside the boot. Looks like I could pry against this. Oh yeah, look at that. It just moved forward just as nice as you want. I have plenty of room here in the front. Don't look like it's contacting anything. Just finding a good place to pry is. Looks like a U-joint to the frame looks about as good a place as any. Yeah. Looks to me like it's loose. Yeah, it's still hooked up. It's still turning the rear wheel. But this is all real sloppy loose in here. I don't know. Looks like the only thing that's keeping me from is motor hitting that that V-boost assembly there. And that's about 1.5 inches forward. I still have a little more room here in the front, about 1 inch, something like that, 1.5 fingers. And so that would be just a final effort here to kind of hard to find any place to pry. Good. Must be hitting something else. It's not, doesn't want to move forward. I'm going to straddle it, grab it with my hands, and see if I can do anything. It might be just because it's hitting that thing right there. I guess I'm going to just pull this hole loose. At least that'll give me about 1/2 inch. I did that when I took the carburetors off before. We've got plenty of movement. Nothing really hitting. It might be now that need to lower the motor and kind of twist it to the side, to the right hand side. I can move this jack around a little. So it'll roll. Maybe. This is a crappy jack, might just fall off. Ugh. I don't know. I think I'm going to loosen up my straps here and see if I can lower this thing down and push it to that side. Maybe it'll lower out of the frame. I really don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. Try to lower the jack and see if I can drop it out. It was snagging a little. And going back onto the motor mounts, here's the rear rubber one. And I jacked it around, pried on it, and it looks like I can get the other one off. Yeah. Just kind of grab it here with trying to one-hand my pliers. Not the best. Get another bite on it. Yeah, that's, there we go. That pop was the jack, so anyway, that come out pretty easy. That should give me another at least 1/4 inch there on each side. Looks to me like this thing really should come out. I wish I was stronger, but I'm not. Probably 2 guys would be pretty easy. No 2 guys, just me and an old jack. So I'll keep playing with this and see if I can get it at least started out of the frame. Putting it in is going to be a different story because I don't want to scratch up anything. Taking this old one out, I don't really too much care, but I still don't want to break anything if I don't have to. Well, plenty of room in the front. You can see I'm wiggling everything around. I have enough room to come forward a little. I've got my strap here keeping it tight in front. The back one should be pretty loose. I'm going to try one more time to pry this forward and see if I can get that U-joint loose. Like I said, I've never done this before. I don't know what the ideal is. Maybe that is the ideal like it is right now. But anyway, I'm going to work on it a little more and see if I can't get this thing to come forward a little bit. And see if I can get that U-joint disconnected. I can really see that this shifter shaft really might be a problem, especially if anything slipped or fell. It'd bend the hell out of that thing. Anyway, back to prying. Well, that worked. Got it out of the splines in there, and looks like it's ready to come out. I'm going to go ahead and loosen my straps a little bit at a time and just let it down and see if I can kind of work this thing out. At least I can get it free of the frame. Alright, well, I got the jack on it there on one side, and I got the head past the frame. Looks like I'm all good here. This is kind of tight. This is loose. Yeah, I'm clear here. Of course, I need to take off this radiator hose. That shouldn't be any big deal. It kind of looks like I'm sort of stuck in the motor mount there. It's below it quite a bit. So I think I can continue to twist this motor, get it past the valve cover there, and maybe start lowering this whole thing down out of the frame. I know this is probably a boring video, but sometimes when it's just you got to do what you got to do to get something out. Well, next thing, I've got the thermostat housing here connecting or touching the frame. I don't know, I think probably in instructions it said to take it out. It's not really holding it. It's past the frame, but it's definitely got me froze between the starter. Just a little plastic doohickey. Interesting thermostat. Yeah, that looks expensive as hell. This motor ran really good. Thermostat turned on and off and everything. So I'm sure this is all alright. Anyway, put that there out of the way. Oh, shit, falling everywhere. Yeah, that'd give me a little more room. Now I've got a manifold bolt on a frame here. I think I'd probably just ought to take that bolt out of there. This one here is pretty close, but I'm just going to pull them both out just to get them out of the way. That's pretty easy. I'll show you how to do it. You just put two nuts on them and lock them and then twist them out, hopefully. We'll give this a go and see. Okay, I got it hooked up on the outside of the motor here. I went to the inside of the motor here to the exhaust stud. I've got this wrapped around the intake manifold. So basically those straps are supporting the motor about the center. I think the only thing that's holding it in right now is the jack. I'm going to let it down slowly. I think some of this stuff over here will contact first, and then I can reposition this jack to somewhere where it'll lift on it straight. Well, the motor's coming up good, still crooked. I tried lifting it from this more towards the center. All I did was try to tip the motorcycle over. So now I'm just gonna kind of tighten my straps again. That should hold it on this side. And I should be able to let the jack down, and that should twist the motor straight a little. Yeah, it did. Looks like I'm contacting the oil pan right here. Alright, get that out of the way. Been missing the starter and everything over here. Looks like this U-joint's kind of wanting to come out. It's hard to get a pry on it. Yeah, it's all loose. It ought to just fall out of there. So I think basically if I can get this motor straight again, vertical, it should come out pretty easily. Not exactly what I'm going to do. I could put something here in the motor mount hole. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm back into my straps holding it again. My jack is completely off. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep jacking it up, moving it around, working it real slow, letting it down, holding it with straps until I get it free of the frame. A little more fooling around. It looks like this thing's about ready to just fall out. When I loosen that rear strap, the motor wants to twist. See, it just wants to fall right out. And I think if I can just go ahead and let the jack down, try that. Trying to use a crescent on this valve. Well, yeah. Look like the only thing that's holding it in now is my straps. I'm just going to go ahead and let this jack down. And that's about it. Try a little different place for it. See what happens if I loosen these straps. Yeah, well, there's the back one. Looks like the U-joint hung on the frame a little bit, but I think once the front comes down, yeah, this let it down a little. Should be back on my jack again. Jack let it down some more. Basically, this motor's out. It's just been held in by some little pieces. I should be able to wiggle it around and drop it on out. Try it and see. Put the camera over here. I don't know if it's gonna help or not. Well, that's it. I let it a little bit at a time. Got it laid out. Looks like it just I just loosened up my stuff and it fell right out. So everything's unhooked here. Get my straps out of the way. I'm gonna just pull the motorcycle over a little bit. Get it away from this motor. And get the jack and everything out of the way. And just remove this motor from my space. Press on. Yeah, there it is out. The book says use a helper. Well, I'm 67 years old, and I used to be really strong. I still am pretty much, but there ain't no way two guys, normal sized guys, is gonna pull this motor. If you're young and really strong, maybe, but I don't know how much this thing weighs. It's enough I can't lift it off the ground, and so it's got to be around 300 pounds or so. It'd take two pretty strong guys to muscle this thing in. So I've got a better jack coming, and I'll probably figure out some way of making a holder for it. But now I can get to all the V-boost stuff down in there and take it all out and figure out some way of moving this somewhere and get it out of my way. And I got a lot of cleaning and stuff to do here and painting, but at least the motor's out and I can get to everything and do what I need to do. This ends definitely the end of this motor. Probably about the time I get it all cleaned up. I'll have a new motor coming. It's supposed to be here by this weekend. So with any luck, show me putting that back in. Of course, gravity helps a lot trying to take one out. Putting one back in is a whole nother ball game, especially if you're trying not to scratch up anything. Yeah, this would definitely be much easier with both heads off and clutch and everything, take all that weight out of it. But I got it out one piece. Now we just have to put the other one in. I got kind of a pile of crap here to clean up and strip. This is that frame piece. I've got been painted several times and probably layers of paint, so I'm just going to take it all off. And this is my little water crossover tube, brake pedal, heat shields. Yeah, I'm just going to strip all this stuff. Yeah, here's a bunch of stuff being stripped. There's a frame down there. I've got this water here. It's got some good soap and stuff in it. I've been cleaning these strip parts in it, so I'm going to need this pan to use gasoline or something to clear clean the frame. So I'm just going to do this thing here, get all of my paint stripping stuff out of the way. I just poured it on this plywood top here, trying to get it on everything. And just try to clean this up as much as I can. Looks like the brake pedal there worked good. This is some pretty seriously good paint on these heat shields. It's been on there quite a while. It don't even look like it's touching it. Well, if it don't, it don't. It means if this paint stripper won't take it off, it's definitely good enough to stay on the bike. This is the cross member here. I know it had a lot of ugly paint on it. grease and everything. So I'm just gonna try to clean it up as much as I can. Looks like I got a hose clamp on it there. Not a hose clamp, but a wire tie. Just trying to get all of this fresh stuff off of the table and onto the part. Let all this set a while while I clean off that frame, whatever's left on it, and then I'll get back to this stuff. I got these mostly cleaned. Brake turned out pretty good. This is really tough paint on these things. Wish I knew what it was. That paint stripper hardly touched it. Even though it was worn off, didn't do much of a job. Anyway, those are clean. Cross member here looks pretty good. I'm gonna around the edges of this. It looks like I got it pretty much clean. And little manifold here cleaned up pretty good. Frame not bad. Looks like there's still a few places on it. I can scrape some of this off and maybe take a little wire brush to it, and then anyway, I can get this stuff all cleaned up and primered. What I've been doing, I've just been putting well, it really come off in your fingers. It's obviously got a lot of carburetor cleaner, paint stripper still on it. But I remember that that's what I got on here. And just take a little scraper and scrape it off. Actually, I suppose any kind of little piece of plywood would be good. Yeah, it still feels a little slick, but basically it's good enough. You just have to make sure that that stuff don't get into your new paint. So I've been saving this one place over here to paint on. Anyway, here's a bunch of it cleaned up. And now I got some, taking these V-boost stuff out and getting it cleaned up. And then I'll got my pan emptied there of all the water. That's what I was trying to do. And you can use some gasoline or carburetor cleaner, brake cleaner, something to clean this frame up real good so I can paint it. And move along. I was kind of surprised I got that motor out by myself, but it did. And so now we just press on. A little clean up and the motor ought to come, and we'll stick a new shiny one in there. Here we are at the end of a day. Turn this thing off. I didn't have a very good air compressor. I had a little tiny one. You see, that's what the yellow hose goes to. There's another little air compressor there. I'm just using it for an extra tank to have more flow for when I'm painting. And it's got water in it, I don't know. Anyway, I got this set up to paint with. I used it to blow all the stuff off. All I did was I just took that pan there and turned the key on several times and pumped enough gas in it to get some to clean with. I used this brush here, plastic brush, and cleaned it up real good. And I sanded it with some 320 best I could again. It looks pretty good. And then I sprayed it with frame paint up here at the top. That should have been all real nice, but it looks pretty good. It's all nice and glossy and black, and I got the kickstand and everything, the little pivot and everything all looks real good, works good. I didn't get much paint on my spring. I painted it up to the edge there. Tomorrow I'll clean up, first I'll clean up that top aluminum one there. You can't see it, but I'll clean it up anyway. And give this good cleaning, and then there's a little bit of rust right there, so I definitely need to paint that. It doesn't have to be super good, but it needs to be a good coat of paint. So this is a roll bar and chassis paint. I did do this support here, and got quite a bit of grease and dirt, and I took the air gun and blew what was left out. And I was fooling around looking at the motor and trying to think of a way to mount it. You know, if you had the transmission jack, it would just clamp on the bottom of that motor. You could tilt it left and right. And I think what I'll do is just find the middle and get the middle of that transmission down there. You see the drain bolt, I think, is sitting on it. That's why I got it turned over there. And maybe even take my little jack up there. I just threw it up there out of the way and put a bolt or something in it and a board to make it flatter. I could make a little kind of frame for that thing to set in. Then we'd just have to set the motor on the jack. And I'm pretty sure I can get it all over here, and the worst comes to worst, I can lay it all the way down like I took it, like gravity took it out, and jack it up that way, just straight up. But anyway, that's kind of a better. If I can see, I can see that drain bolt there. Yeah, it looks like it's about the same size as the case, but it's sitting on something there. But I could make a little wooden frame just to go right around the bottom of that motor, a little box or something, or even weld something, and then mount it on that jack. And then do the same thing I did before, use my straps up here across this, and just set the motor and jack it up a little bit and tighten up the straps and kind of just work it over slowly, a couple inches at a time, and watch what I'm doing. I have a freshly painted frame. I'll show you some more of that. I don't have the best garage or anything in the world, but and I have it way all winter. I got a bunch of weeds I got to cut, but here's the back heat shields. I painted them black. That's the ones that rust or the paint remover didn't even touch. Here's a little cross member. It looks really nice sitting out here in the sun. This paint likes the sun. And I got this painted. This is a removable cross member. I got it painted both sides good with 2 coats, all the ins and outs. So anyway, maybe not the best paint booth in the world, but it'll turn out alright. I just took that frame that was over there on that post brought it over here and stuck it on with a couple bolts. They're not even bolted in, and I thought the top was the bottom. So anyway, I painted the bottom really good. Then I looked at it here, and once I put it on, then I painted it real good, cleaned up all the brackets, like right in here real good, and right back in the back. You know, that's kind of a big flat place will show. And that'll be a final piece that goes on. And I can still clean up this. I painted this once. Looks like I did a pretty good job when I had all the ignition and stuff out. But yeah, once I get that back cleaned up tomorrow and painted, and I got to take this thing here off to the speedometer. It's got a bunch of crap paint on it, and strip it. But I can do that kind of as a separate job. Probably do it though before I get over here and finish these scoops and stuff. This thing turned out pretty good. It looks like it was kind of a silvery aluminum stuff. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I'll clean that up probably with a wire brush, make that look real nice. I think it's might not be our little paint. Just might as well paint it black like everything else. And then got my scoop, one good scoop here, and one I JB welded. And next step will be to bond to wipe all the dents and stuff in these and make them smooth and polish up those covers wherever I'm going to polish them. And yeah, it looks good from this side even. Yeah, I should probably put one more final coat here on top of here. I'm using for the frame this roll bar and chassis paint. It's a VHT, it's high temperature stuff. And when you put it on, you gotta be careful, because if you're real close like this, you gotta move the can fast. And I haven't cleaned up any of that, so I won't paint it. That's just the last finish coat for that bar there. And looks like I could use some sanding right here. That's where those wire ties and a bunch of crap was. I'm going to sand that and repaint it. But it all looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really nice looking vmax. I'm going to use a bright gold on this tank. Well, you'll see. Anyway, so that basically completes this little saga of taking the motor out today and getting the frame here where it went in all cleaned up and painted.